On a Thursday edition of the program, I am merely Beau.
We have Coach.
The great Z. Before we say anything else, we want to go to Coach Alex Van Pelt, our offensive coordinator, at the podium. Let's have a listen.
Hey, Coach. With this kind of weird offseason, do you
You're down, guys.
feel for where everybody fits in this offense, or is it something that you just have to get out there and play some games to really figure out?
Yeah, I think the training camp gave us the idea of how we use guys within the system. Definitely, we were trying to figure out, how guys fit and, play to the strengths of our guys. But now I think after the month of training camp, we have a really good idea about where each guy fits and what roles they'll play.
And how challenging is it? I mean, a lot of these guys haven't been hit since December. Is there a little bit of a wake-up moment for them when they first get out there on Sunday?
Oh, I'm sure it will be. Ball security is a premium. That's one of the things that you can't really practice unless you're hitting. Not having the preseason, we got to be conscious of the fact of protecting the football. But like most guys, once you get hit, you realize you're back into it, and it's kind of like riding a bike.
Marla Ridnour, you have our next question.
Yeah, Coach, I know you talked about Odell and his, amazing talents, but just do you get a sense of how determined he is this year, especially now that he's healthy, and just, really to show his, his true self?
Yeah, I think he's very excited about the season. I know he feels great. He's been working his butt off in camp so far. I know he wants to be successful this season. Coming off of last year, not feeling great the whole season, I think he's really looking forward to the opportunities he'll have this year.
Do you, having him and Jarvis, is that almost like I think Coach Stefanski said it's hard to cover both guys. I mean, just how dangerous is that when you have two guys of that caliber?
Having just those two guys would be great, but we have a bunch of guys that can make plays. So, we'll see how defensive they play us this season. But having Hoop and Njoku and Kareem and Nick and those guys, that's exciting.
Daryl Ryder, we'll go to you.
Hey, Alex, with all the challenges you guys had to deal with, I know everyone around the league is pretty much in the same boat here, but just how realistic is it that things are going to run smoothly on Sunday? I mean, how much latitude, are you expecting that, there's going to be some challenges for you early in the season?
Obviously we expect to come out and operate, with precise and clean execution. The reality is that's probably not going to be the case early on, but we're anticipating coming out and playing error-free football from the start. Now, everybody, like you said, is in the same boat. So the teams that can adjust quickly and adapt and get back into, the swing of the season, those will be the teams that are successful, and we hope to be one of those.
What impacted the limited live reps that you guys were able to get during camp does that have on the team, especially when you're in the first year of a new offensive system?
The live reps that we had, are you asking about the scrimmages where we actually tackled? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, Daryl, you're muted there.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Take two. I was referencing just the limitations of the live reps that you were able to have. You weren't able to have the traditional type of camp and preseason that you'd normally have. So my question is, what type of limitations does that place on you not having that at your disposal?
I think everybody's, kind of in the same boat. So I think the real limitations aren't going to be there. We expect our guys to come out and play like they've played. And I'm sure every coach is saying the same thing across the league right now. The fact that we didn't have a preseason, that's the way it goes. 31 other teams didn't have one. So, there will be no limitations.
Nate Orrick, your line's open.
Hey, Coach. You've had a lot of, season openers as a player and a coach. And I just wondered, how different does this feel? What are your emotions like? I just with all the craziness involved with the pandemic, surrounding the team, your off season, you had the false positive day where you said you thought, is this it? What are you thinking now that you're here Sunday?
I'm excited to see what we have. Really, we don't know at this point. I think we have a good feeling about who we are and who we're going to be. But, without any preseason games, without any of that kind of thing, the whole off season, I'm just really excited to see what we have and who we are. And I think we'll evolve as the season goes.
Aditi Kinkabala, you're up.
Hi. Coach Stefanski has been very adamant about not telling us who is calling plays. Do you feel like the two of you are very different play callers?
I don't think so. And I don't think it really isn't for us to say anything at all at this point. I think just for the competitive advantage, I think we'll figure it out on game day. But no, I don't think so.
Thank you, Aditi. Tony Grossi. Tony, if you could hit unmute on your side, please.
Sorry, I didn't get the notification for that. Alex, we understand there's going to be crowd noise pumped into the Baltimore Stadium, but there's a limit on it. How much does that help Jedrick Wills? I've seen crowd noise destroy rookie tackles in the past.
Yeah, it'll definitely benefit him. Going into a loud place as a rookie in your first start, being in tune with that snap count or the silent cadence as well. Those can hinder a young guy. So him being able to hear a snap count, we don't anticipate the noise level to be too high. So that'll definitely benefit him.
And the second question is, all the offensive players are sincerely upbeat about the offense. I just take it that once you guys got undercover for your practice, you must have had a lot of great practices these past few weeks. Do you think you've really advanced the ball to help in the offense?
I definitely think so. I think the last 10 days have been some of our better practices offensively. I think, like I said, we're starting to understand who we are and how we can use each guy in their roles, and highlight what they do well. So I think we've made strides over the last, week to 10 days.
Last two, we'll go to Mary Kay Cabot and Scott Patrick. Mary Kay, you're up.
Hey, Coach, when the first depth chart came out, David Njoku was listed at third tight end there. Just wondering if that's meaningful, or does that necessarily describe what's going to happen on Sunday?
We'll have packages for each guy. I think, David was hampered by a little limitation of injury early on that kind of set him back. And then Harrison's performance, kind of elevated him above him at this point. But, we were a team that's going to be multiple and versatile. So having three tight ends on the field is not something that it is something you'll see from us. So we'll use all of our personnel, and David will be a big part of that.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, our final one.
Stand by. Last question.
Hey, Alex, you've had the whole camp now with Kareem, and obviously he signed that extension this week. What kind of role do you see for him?
Kareem's going to be, he's going to spell Nick, and when Nick needs a spell at the running back position, there'll be other opportunities for him in different spots as well. But we're extremely excited to have him signed on with his extension. He's deserved it. He's been nothing but a great teammate, for the group so far, and expect nothing less. But very excited to have him on long term now.
Could you see him getting some reps in the slot?
I wouldn't want to talk about that as it relates to game planning, but Kareem has a different skill set. He can do multiple things.
All right.
You're up.
Time today, Coach.
All right, good stuff from Alex Van Pelt there. We'll get to Joe Woods' press conference, which should be happening within the moments. Anything jump out to you there, Z, as we welcome you in?
No, I think, first of all, great to be with you here on the return of the National Football League. And we've got our, a lot to get to in the show. I'm sure we're going to get to some league previewing and obviously a big look at the Ravens. Nothing really stood out to me there. The one thing I would say is, when asked about how Kareem would be used, said he would spell Nick Chubb. And I think
Joe Woods here
might be just underselling a little bit what Kareem's role will be. But again, very talented guys.
That caught my attention too.
Joe Woods now heading to the podium, the Browns defensive coordinator.
You're down, guys.
Coach, I was just wondering, what are the challenges in preparing for Lamar Jackson?
You guys have any ideas? No, it's a very different offense, and I think he makes everything go. They're big up front, they're physical, they can knock you off the ball, so they can run the ball downhill at you. Then obviously they can get on the edge. And if you do everything right, you still got to tackle them. So that's the problem. And they really limit what you're trying to do defensively because of all the different things they do.
Thank you, George. We'll go to Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering what we can expect from Ronnie Harrison, if you think you can get him up to speed enough to be a real contributor Sunday. And does he restore some of the versatility you lost when Grant Delpit went out for the season, or is that just not the right way to look at it?
Right now, it's still a work in progress. He's only been here for a couple of days, so we're really trying to fill him out just in terms of what he's able to do and how much of our system he can pick up. There is some carryover from Jacksonville, but at the same time, we do some things a little bit differently. So we're going to keep evaluating them throughout the next couple of days and then try to fit them in where we can.
Thank you, Nate. Dan Lobby.
Hey, Coach, with as hard as this team is to prepare for and everything that has kind of gone into getting ready for this season, does it help you at all that when you were with San Francisco, you guys played the Ravens last year, you at least kind of seen up close what they can do and had to prepare for them last year?
Yeah, it definitely helps because just being on the field, seeing at the field level and what they do, that part of it helps. We have a different group of guys, and there's some different things we want to do. You can't do a whole bunch, but that experience definitely helped me in terms of what to expect.
Thank you, Dan. Daryl Ryder, you have our next question.
Hey, Coach, the fact that the Browns bring back their starting defensive line with Miles and Olivier, Sheldon and Larry, does that give you a little bit of a jump here in week one, because you're going to have to go through this period of, like feeling out opponents and whatnot?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I've been fortunate enough wherever I've been, going back to Minnesota, we've had a good defensive line there. Denver, good defensive line, San Francisco. And when you're able to play well against the run and rush the passer with your front four, it makes things easier. The challenge we have this week's a little bit different. We got to try to get them the third down and throw the ball a little more, but it definitely helps having those type of guys.
All right, Tony Grossi, you're up.
Hey, Joe, how much does the speed element of Lamar Jackson influence acquisitions on defense, particularly in the back seven this year?
For us, it's just what's the best team we can put together. So it's not really about who we're playing, because each team, there's different challenges. And week to week in the NFL, it always comes down to matchups. Can you win your one-on-one? So we want to have, athletic players, but at the same time, we want, football players that have high football IQ, that can play fast on the field. So that's really first and foremost what we look for, and hopefully do our job right. We put together a good defense.
But in general, is your philosophy that speed is the way to go whenever possible?
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah, speed.
Why is that? It used to be size, now it's speed. Is that no,
it's dependent on position too, but I think at your skill position, you always want guys that can run, especially offensively. Now they're spreading you out a little bit more. Some of the college game is starting to come to the NFL, so you want guys that can match up with receivers, tight ends, and running backs. So I think from the back seven standpoint, you're looking for, guys that are good football players, but maybe guys that can run a little bit faster.
Mary Kay Cabot, you have our next question.
Hey, Coach, can you just address the fact that, it looks like, we haven't seen Greedy practice at all. It looks like Terrence Mitchell will probably end up going in his spot. I mean, you don't have to answer that definitively, obviously, but, maybe just just having to go into this opener without your top, your 2 and 3 corners in Greedy and Kevin Johnson, and what impact that has on you this game.
It's still, he's going through his rehab, so we have to evaluate that day to day. He's been around everything. He understands what we're doing, so we just have to see where he's at going into the weekend. But we really have a good group of guys in the back end, and guys, it's an opportunity for guys to step up. So we have guys back there that can play multiple positions. T. Mitch, as they call him, he's really kind of like a crafty veteran. Very high football IQ, very instinctive player. So I feel very comfortable, with the guys we have and playing on Sunday.
Thanks, Coach.
Scott Patrick, you're up.
Hey, Joe, it seems like the Ravens would be a team that really stresses your linebackers with their run game and their tight ends. So how do you feel about your linebacker group heading into that, especially without Mack around?
That's another group that they've really played well throughout training camp. Just the additions we made and draft picks. I think we really have a good group of linebackers. I really think it's just it'll come down to those guys getting on the field, playing with each other, getting comfortable with each other in terms of the communication. But I do feel good where they're at right now. We'll see what happens on Sunday.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. We'll make this one our last one. Anthony Poisal.
Hey, Coach. A lot of teams last year used creativity in practice to prepare for Lamar Jackson. I know that last year with the Niners, before playing the Ravens, you guys used Richie James, a wide receiver, as a quarterback to mimic Jackson running from the backfield. Is there anything clever, unique like that being done to prepare for Jackson this week, or to simply just prepare for option plays, things like that?
Yeah, you try to get the speed. So we've used different guys because the one thing with Lamar is he can run it, but he can also throw it. So we used really a combination of guys and just mixed them in throughout different plays just to try to give us the best look this week.
Thanks.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Coach Wood.
You're up.
All right, good stuff from Joe Wood there in terms of what this defense and the challenges facing it. A couple of things jumped out. The day-to-day on Greedy, did you get that one as well, Z, in terms of – but we're getting there, right? I mean, it's got to be quickly at that point if Greedy's going to give you a look.
Yeah, imagine if you're expecting to have Greedy Williams or Kevin Johnson, that they are going to have to be on the field today in today's practice, which will take place while we're on the air, or tomorrow at a minimum. And if they're not, then you're probably going to be going with, Money Mitch and Denzel and Tavier Thomas. And we know MJ Stewart's come back in a limited fashion. So you don't know what that means. You don't know if he's going to be ready to go, if he's getting team reps at all, or if limited just means he's just doing individual drills coming back from, that hamstring injury. So when you're talking about those guys and the role that they're going to be able to play, I think it's pretty unknown now. But with the new rules this year, as it was explained to me, is on game day, you're going to have 55 guys up. So you wouldn't have to make a move to bring a corner in if you are not able to have Kevin Johnson and Greedy Williams. You would be able to just bring up guys on your practice squad, Rob Jackson, A.J. Green. They could be active for you on game day without a corresponding transaction. As we've seen so far, nobody has been placed on injured reserve yet for the Browns at this point, which means nobody's out a minimum of 3 weeks, which is a good thing. But, yeah, that's something you're going to have to look at. Again, Tavier Thomas has not played defense in the NFL before. I mean, would we say,
that's significant.
3 snaps last year and maybe 18 that one game against Kansas City when everybody got hurt and he was forced out there, and, that was his real taste of it. But if he's playing your full-time nickel in this one, it makes me wonder if you're going to see the Browns try to play, a lot of base defense and get the 3 linebackers out there with Taki, with B.J. Goodson, and Jacob Phillips, or if MJ Stewart's ready. We just, at this point, we don't know, and it's a lot of speculation. I think what we know is it's looking like your starting 4 DBs, 2 corners, 2 safeties, are going to be Denzel, Money Mitch, Sendejo, and Carl Joseph. And how Harrison can get in, that'll be key. Redwine has played more against this Ravens offense than anybody on the back 7, 66 snaps.
Yeah.
That's more than anybody. He and Taki have combined 100 snaps, and that's it. That's the list. So, because I don't count anybody who played against Baltimore in 2018, that's not this team.
That's not Baltimore, no.
That's not who they were last year and who they will be this year. So I think there are a lot of questions, to be honest, about this defense and what it's going to be able to do to match up with him, but it doesn't mean that they're up to the task, and certainly they also don't have a lot of an idea of how our guys are going to play together in this scheme. They haven't seen that. The Niners did a good job, held them to 20 points last year, so Joe Woods has some of that to fall back on. And really, the one part of our team that can the most affect this game, I'd say, is probably going to be up front, and that's where you have your continuity. Yeah. That's where you're fully healthy and you've got all of your stars. And I think we go back to Baltimore week 4, it was their very first 3rd down when Olivier Vernon got that sack and kind of set the tone for that game and for the performance you saw from the Browns defense and the Browns in general in a win. We're the last team to beat the Ravens in the regular season, and I think we need to build it. We've played them tough 2 years in a row, split with them both times. So It's not an ideal first week matchup given the circumstances, but our guys up front, I think that's the strength of this defense. We've heard about it. They're going to have to be on full display against the Ravens.
Much of this is COVID, is the fault of COVID and where we are in the world. But I've never felt so blinded by a team that I cover on a daily basis. You got a pretty good idea what's going to happen, and we've seen so much more than anybody else because we're lucky enough to see camp, and we've been at these practices, the one on Sunday at the stadium and the one Friday at the stadium. We have Browns Live, and we have these things. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure this is feelings around the league just because without preseason football, and you say, well, yeah, the stars don't play in preseason. No, but the offense plays.
Sure.
And you see what it looks like. I mean, anybody who's got a new offensive staff, a new defensive staff, new coaching staff like we do, you're flying blind heading into this weekend, into what it's going to look like. We've seen it in camp. We haven't seen it against an opposing team, and it's fun. It's exciting, but there is a sense of unknown that I've never felt before going into a team that I cover.
Yeah, we're definitely flying blind. I mean, even last year, even though the season didn't pan out the way you wanted it to, you got a sense of the potential of the team in Indianapolis when you went to that joint practice and you said, okay, here's a team that's pretty good. We're competing with them. And look, the Browns did start 2-2. You beat the Ravens in Baltimore decisively week 4. We know that was unfortunately the peak of the season, but you did have, you showed and you had a sense of, okay, we can match up with some of these quote unquote playoff caliber teams. Our talent says absolutely we can. And the Ravens don't know about us. They haven't seen all of this. The Ravens haven't had to deal with this and this staff and this talent and this offense and a guy like Austin Hooper. They haven't had to deal with that. So we have an opportunity. And the other part of it is, though, I think it creates an unknown for them as well. It's an unknown. How are they going to tackle? How is their conditioning? It will be tested. I would say they are the other team that is as well equipped as we are to test a team's conditioning by pounding them running the football.
Yep.
Them, the Niners, us. You could think of, the teams on one hand that are going to really stress defenses like that early in the year. But we're going to find out. I'd say a team that is slightly better conditioned, a team that makes fewer mistakes is going to have success in week 1. I think they're going to be high-scoring games. I don't think defenses are going to be capable
I think so too.
For defenses
to be on the overs.
And that's, you go back to 2011, I think the first week it was something like 12 out of 16 went over the projected total. And I think that's probably the closest approximation to what you're able to get for what you'll see. I think the Browns' path to victory means they don't make mistakes and they score. I just think you're going to have to score high 20s to win this game. Now, if you win 3-0, great, don't care. But I think that's probably most likely that it's going to be, and especially if the weather isn't ideal. It looks like it could be raining out there, which is just glorious music to my ears. But you're
going to love that.
Sure. But I think that could create some sloppy conditions. Yeah, I don't know if I'm safe.
I don't know if you're. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
And now we'll never know if you're safe or not.
Yeah.
No, I think all those points are valid in terms of the type of football that you're going to see, and that we are uniquely equipped. One of the teams uniquely equipped to deal with it. We play a team that also is uniquely equipped to deal with it. Help Cleveland students start the school year off strong. Log on to clevelandbrowns.com/supply drive to make a monetary donation to the Shoes and Clothes for Kids Remote Learning Back to School Drive. Proudly brought to you by Ohio Cat and the Cleveland Browns Foundation. We'll have some more reaction to the coordinators, plus get into the injury report. And oh, by the way, we have football tonight. Plus, it is matchup day, so we will do our defense versus their offense and vice versa. Lots to get to, including Jarvis Landry at the podium as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. discount for a football player or spending limit when you're playing the lottery. So if you like to gamble, set a limit beforehand and stick to it. Want to learn more? Go to keepitfunohio.com for helpful tips on how to keep gambling fun. We heard from our two coordinators. We reacted to those, and oh, by the way, we have football tonight, and the quarterback position's about $600 million in contract between Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes, as the Texans and Chiefs will play a real football game tonight. You think about tonight for me. I'm so thankful for tonight because we were doing shows in April and June and July, and you didn't know. You really didn't know.
No.
And if you want to tonight, if you're so inclined, you can watch all the Major League Baseball you want. You can watch the U.S. Open if you want. You want to watch LeBron James play at 7 o'clock, you can do that. They're playing early tonight. You want to watch the U. Miami Hurricanes are playing football tonight. And most importantly, the NFL is playing tonight. It's quite the sports smorgasbord, my friend.
Well, I'm pretty sure people listening know that it's 7 o'clock tonight. The only thing they're going to be doing is listening to the Kevin Stefanski show.
Clearly.
Duh.
It'll be on the DVR.
That's right. They'll set their DVRs like you used to do for Browns Live,
Set
which
their
you
DVR.
can do again, by the way.
That's
It's 6:30, Browns Live tonight. It returns. 6:30 tonight, Browns Live.
You're on tonight with one of your other jobs?
Me and the Hoff, and then that leads me right into the Hoff is an appetizer for an hour of you and I with the head coach Kevin Stefanski on the Kevin Stefanski show.
Oh, wow.
That's
That's
right.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I saw the Hoff added the written word to his resume as well.
Oh boy, I have forecasted sobbing in the future for Whitman because
Whitman wept.
Weeping is for me is one thing, but when you add the Hoff to the mix, now it's just a full sob fest. It's sad.
You have set the standard so high, and I think it's just great that like you, Joe is willing to donate because of his passion for this project and to do it out of the goodness of his heart and just the fact that he loves to write.
I'd like to see him step up and match my pace of 2 articles a week in season in addition to my various other duties. I think that would be – I'd like to see him step up. That's my challenge.
Yes.
But it's a Cup of Joe.
How do you –
and it's a big mug. I mean, if you've seen his Cup of Joe mug, it's a giant – it's almost like a 4-quart Dutch oven that says Joe on the outside of it.
You are aware that – and you and I have talked about this with him before – that his passion for sous vide is matched by his passion for the Java bean.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. He's
enjoys it a great deal.
Big fan. And he gets into a lot of
the
processes. Huge fan. Cup of Joe.
Yep.
GlenBrowns.com.
Yeah, that'll be fun. What do you think this football is going to look like tonight? Going to be a little surreal, buddy. No, this would have been crazy. Kansas City getting rings, raising banners. If I were them, I'd almost hold that off till next year. You almost feel like you would. I don't know. It'd be weird doing it in front of nobody.
Yeah, it'd be more fun with the crowd. But no, they're going to raise banners. They're going to. I think they're going to be going for it. They're fired up, and I think it's going to be an offensive display. Is what I think that game is going to be. I think we've all kind of prognosticated, forecasted. We're going to see some points, but I think this Chiefs offense with Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey and now Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield is going to go bananas. And then I think on the other side, Deshaun Watson. I mean, marquee matchup to start. 2 great young quarterbacks, 2 of the best in the NFL. A good litmus test for the Texans to see, are they a team that can get over the hump and get into serious, consideration going forward for this season in the postseason. I'm excited. I can't wait. I think it's going to be so odd without the crowd.
I can't either.
But I can't wait for it. And I think it's going to become normal. I honestly, now when I watch, the NBA playoffs, I don't really even notice it. I mean, it does still have more of
didn't either.
An AAU look to it than being in a massive arena, obviously. But so you won't have that because you will actually be in the stadiums. But I don't even notice it. I think they'll just shoot it tighter. It'll just be focused on the football.
Really, it'll just be really the cutaways because the football doesn't show the crowd anyway. The only way you'll see that is like when you take an end zone cam of a guy running towards the end zone on a long run. But really, you could avoid the crowd almost entirely from the television product standpoint.
Totally.
I'm with you on the NBA. I watched the Celtics Raptors game last night. It was awesome, and you don't even notice. I mean, thank goodness the refs. It was just brutal at the end what the refs did. So I'm glad they at least got overtime to sort that thing out. But I think that'll be the same as we true about the NFL, where all of a sudden you won't even realize. You're not even going to realize that the fans aren't there. That this league, the singular focus was delivering a football product, and they've had a lot of time to think about it and get it right, and they will get it right. And we're to get these 2 teams tonight. We'll do the scores on this one at the end of the show. But have you peeked ahead at the size of the scores?
Yeah, there are definitely some disparities out there that the odds makers see in the early going.
Yeah, I was surprised this one particularly was this large of a score. I think Houston's pretty good.
I think Houston's pretty good as well. I think that, again, it's going to be very high scoring, so it doesn't surprise me that, they're leaning to the Chiefs, really putting something up there. I'm not too surprised. Let me take a look at it here. Okay.
9 times.
Oh,
9 times.
Yeah, I even see that in the hook brings you back.
Oh gosh. Oh,
that's what I see. So even more than that.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, pay attention to the scores on that one. Yeah, it's a fun game. It's one team that is a Super Bowl contender. It's another team that made an incredible decision to move off of DeAndre Hopkins and put more on Deshaun Watson. And this, what they are tonight will be a little bit of a referendum on Bill O'Brien and roster building and all of that. I think it's good that from Houston's perspective, like J.J. Watt's healthy. If they were playing later in the year, that might not be the case, but they will at least have a healthy J.J. Watt tonight.
That they will, and I think they're a pretty good team. I think that's a big number. Obviously, look, there's a ton of respect for what the Chiefs bring to the table. It does seem like a rather wide margin, but as you look around the league, there are a few big margins in paying attention to the scores, few big spreads, as it were. I think that all bets are off. I almost think you could say the vast majority of these games are in some ways pick-ems. I don't think people really know what to expect from any of these teams. And so you're seeing basically, okay, we know who we think which teams we don't think are going to be good or which teams we think are going to be great. You look at the scores. If there's a team that people think is a Super Bowl contender, they are big favorites. If there's a team that people think is going to be very, very bad, they're huge underdogs. Other than that, you just see a little bit of a mixture and more kind of tight numbers where they really don't know what to make of either team.
Yeah, this is the only one where I think one team's great, the other team's good, and the numbers is 9. I mean, that's really the only one that's like that. The rest seem to follow a lot of what you said there. Yeah, Kansas City, guys, for perspective, as good as they were last year, and remember Mahomes was hurt last year, they bring back 21 of 22.
Jeez.
And the one they don't is Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
A pretty significant upgrade.
That's right.